Hi everybody, thanks for tuning into the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at some figures that I have literally waited my entire life to get. Today we're going to be taking a look at Wave 1 of the Dungeons & Dragons 40th Anniversary cartoon figures. If Saturday morning cartoons fueled your imagination as a kid and powers your action figure collecting now as an adult, then you're in the right place. Thanks for stopping by and welcome to Saturday Morning Toy Collector. And if you like my content, please consider subscribing.
Hey, look! The Dungeons and Dragons ride! Wow, neat!
Give me a break.
I don't like this!
Whoa! What's happening?
Whoa!
Where are we? Look out!
Fear not, Ranger. Barbarian, magician, thief, cavalier, and acrobat.
Who was that?
That was Venger, the force of evil. I am Dungeon Master, your guide in the realm of Dungeons and Dragons.
Alright, it's been a little while since I actually purchased these figures, and I'm only just now getting around to doing a review for them. So I actually don't have the packages anymore for Hank and Bobby and Deanna. So I do have the package here for the 2-pack, the Venger and Dungeon Master 2-pack that I believe was a Target exclusive. And I really, really love the packaging. I love what they've done here. I love the colors. I love everything about it. I love that they have like a little angle on here, which looks great, mimicking the dice angle, the angle that are on dice that come with these figures. I think they're great. I think the packaging is awesome. I love the artwork. I love the little homage here to the opening of the cartoon where they go inside this ride at the fair and then they get transported to the world of Dungeons and Dragons. So this is the package, of course, for Venger and the Dungeon Master, and I'm glad they did a 2-pack because I wouldn't want to pay full price for just this little guy alone. Love the artwork here on the front. You can see that this one comes with 2 dice, nothing on that side, cartoon artwork on that side, and then here on the back it includes a backdrop which also could double as a Dungeon Master screen, which is really cool, and you can see the cross sell for Wave 1, Hank, Diana, and Bobby. The little Dungeon Master stands 2.9 inches tall, whereas Venger himself stands 8.2 inches tall. So, did I say 2.9 inches? I don't know. I'm getting over being sick, so you got to bear with me. So, let's get all of these figures out and in front of the camera and take a look at each one of them and everything they come with. All right, since we started off with their package, I figured we'd start off with Venger and the Dungeon Master right off the bat. And each one of them comes with a die. So we have a gigantic 20-sided die here, and then the Dungeon Master comes with a 100-sided die over here. And each of the other figures comes with one as well. So you can have a whole set when you collect everything. And you can play some Dungeons & Dragons role-playing game on the side. I do have Venger standing up on a base because it just helps him stand a little bit. He does have some problems standing. But taking a closer look, first off, at the Dungeon Master, you can see he is very nicely painted. He's not very articulated, this guy. There's little bit of movement in the head to where you can turn the head just slightly left and right, but he does have all of this hair hanging down in the back, so it takes a whole lot to get him to move. The arms are on a ball joint, so you can get them out higher than a T-pose. They can go all the way around, and then you do have a hinge and swivel at each wrist. And he does have a gesturing hand where he shoots his magic out of this finger right here. which looks really cool. And then down below, he's just all one sculpted piece. And I do appreciate that they put peg holes on the bottom if you did want to put him on a base, but he doesn't need it. He stands up perfectly fine. Now with Venger over here, he does come with 2 hand accessories. Each one of them have a blast effect coming out. I think this looks really neat. I love the white to red gradient that they put on there, and the hands look really cool. I prefer hands that have the blast effects made onto them as opposed to ones that you would plug in, because they would probably always fall out in this way. They're all, you know, one piece, and they are painted nice. They look good, and I appreciate it. So taking a look at Venger here, one thing you do have to do out of the package is just plug his wings in. They are a separate piece, and they come off, and they are off out of the package, and then you have to just plug them into this hole on his back. But they pop in nicely and stay there, no problem. He also has limited movement on his head. You can turn his head left and right. The arms do have a split right here on the side so that you can get the arms to go all the way out into a T-pose. You are not going to be able to get them to rotate all the way around. There's no bicep swivel. There's a single joint at the elbow, and then a hinge and swivel at each of the wrist. There is a swivel at the elbow as well. The upper piece here, as you can see, like right there, is on a pivot point, so he can move around. And then underneath this basically traffic cone, you do have the legs can go out to the sides. Oh, very limited, you know, about that far. I don't want to stress it any further. They do have a bicep swivel, a upper thigh swivel. There are double jointed pinless knees, and then hinge and swivel at the ankle. But you're not going to be getting him any kind of crazy poses because of this pretty stiff traffic cone. He does stand up well enough on his own, but it just kind of pivots around. He kind of like leans one way. So that's why I had him on a base on this foot to sort of like offset that to where he stood up a little bit straighter. But let's try putting one of the hands in. The hands are super easy to pop out and super easy to pop in. And there you can see Venger blasting with some blast effects. His arms don't really go out forward. You kind of have to kick them out to the side so they get out of that split. But then you'd have to move the head to sort of look where he's, for him to be able to look where he's aiming. And he does have this side eye going on, so he's kind of looking to his left, which is a little. I would have preferred him looking straight on just because of the limited mobility of his hands and arms. But there you have it. There's Venger and Dungeon Master. So let's take a look at Hank, Diana, Bobby, and Uni. All right, here's the rest of Wave 1. It's Hank, Diana, Bobby, and Uni. Each one of them came with an additional die. So you've got a 12-sided die here, another 20-sided die here, and then 8-sided die here. I forgot which one came with which figure, but now you have like a full complement of dice to be able to play your favorite role-playing game. If it happens to be Dungeons & Dragons, then it happens to be Dungeons & Dragons. I do have them out on on bases because they are kind of a little bit hard to stand up on their own. And something that's really kind of cool, for you guys who remember this cartoon and remember this, you grew up with it in the 80s like I did. If you guys have seen the new movie, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, there was a call out to these characters in the movie. When they're in the maze towards the end of the film, there is a group of adventurers dressed exactly like this. Here's a picture from behind the scenes that I found. I giggled out loud in the movie theater when I saw it, and I was like trying to explain it to my wife, but she was like, I don't care. But I thought that was a nice little homage to these characters that I did not expect to see in that movie, but I was pleasantly surprised. So let's start out here with Hank. He comes with two different types of bows. He comes with a regular, just standard bow, and then he has his bow all powered up with a lightning bolt, and this is all one piece. And he can hold each one of them okay. Diana comes with two different types of staffs. She comes with one just straight magical staff, and then another staff that's got some swoosh effects on it and a little slight gradient, and it looks really nice. I dig that as well. She's definitely one of my favorites in this line. Bobby comes with his club, which is kind of hard for him to hold, but he does hold it and holds it up very well. And then he also comes with Uni, who is just a static figure, and the only part of articulation is her head moves back and forth right here. But we'll take a closer look at each one of them. Let's just get some of their accessories out of the way. Hank looks great. I literally have waited my whole life for figures of this cartoon. I love the paint work. The paint on the eyes looks really nice. I like the hair sculpt. The rivets, the belt buckle, it's very simple paint, but I really like it. It's very reminiscent of the cartoon and looks great. And I know that this whole wave of figures, especially Hank here, had a lot of problems with people breaking like right out of the package, like arms breaking. Just the joints were really stiff. The plastic is brittle. So I took the benefit of what I decided to do was go ahead and soak all of them in boiling water right out of the package before I ever started posing them, just to make sure that I could get them to move without breaking them. His upper tunic is split on the side, so you can get him to go out in a T-pose. You can get the arms to go all the way around, but that's kind of looks weird. There's no upper bicep swivel. There is a hinge and swivel, only get 90 degree at the elbow, and then an up and down swivel on this hand, and an up and down swivel on this hand as well. He is articulated at the waist, so he gets a lot of movement. Head can look all the way around, and you can get some movement there, some tilt. He can only look up about that far because of the hair and his tunic, but he can look down pretty good, which is nice. No upper torso articulation. I'll take him off the base. Legs can go out to the side about that far, can go all the way forward, go all the way back. Double pinless. Knees can go back about that far. Little boot cut right there for some movement, and then hinge and swivel and pivot at the foot for Hank. As far as the way he looks holding his stuff, you can see that this arm doesn't bend that far. You can see that you don't even get 90 degrees on that. So having him pose with his bow is a little is a little difficult. So he can hold here, no problem, but you are not going to get him anywhere near holding the back side of that. The best you can do is switch this out for this bow and then sort of pretend like he's already let an arrow fly and that he's just recoiling. That's about the best you can do as far as getting him in a bow holding hand. I love archers. Archers are like my favorite archetype in the wizarding world, in the Dungeons and Dragons, in the sword and sorcery, sword and sandals world. I love my archers, but I really hate when action figure archers can't get into a proper bow holding hand pose. So that is a closer look at Hank. So here we have Diana, and we'll take her staff out of her hand. She looks gorgeous. I love the colors. I love the sculpt. Her hair is nice. The sculpt on her head, the headband, the red diamond in the middle looks great. Her eyes are painted beautifully. I love the golds and the bronzes on her outfit look great. And her boots with the wraps on them. As far as articulation goes, she can not look up at all because of her hair. She can look down about that far. She has an upper diaphragm and a swivel there, but no swivel at the waist. She is locked into position there. Arms can go up in a T-pose, no problem. Of course, they can go all the way around. You do have a hinge and swivel at the elbow and a hinge and swivel at the wrist. There's a slight split here on the side of her like lower loincloth. Legs can only go out about that far. Can go back about that far. Double jointed pinless knees can go back about that far. Boot cut, and then hinge and swivel and pivot at the ankle. So let's get her. You can get her in a double-handed pose for her staff, and that's what she looks like there, holding her staff. And then, of course, the other staff with the swoosh effects looks really nice in display as well. Looks really cool. So there is a look at Diana. I just happen to prefer the more simple staff for my display on my shelf. See if I can get her back on the base. Now let's take a look at Bobby and Uni. Like we did already, Uni just has her head swivel, and that's about it. But she is painted beautifully. Her eyes look great, and they're bright pink and purple, and look beautiful. And she is just a static character. But if you have Bobby, you gotta have Uni. Bobby is a unique figure because we haven't gotten like a child-size figure from Hasbro that I can remember in quite a while. So this is a really cool figure. I love the bright color eyes and his freckles. He just looks great. His head can turn all the way around. You've got some hinge and swivel there. He actually can look up a little bit, but he too has long hair. Everybody in this group has long hair. Got a little paint splotch right there that, oh, look at that. It just rubs right off. No problem. So that's gone. I love that his little leather wraps and the rivets, this is all like a separate piece. Looks really good. He does have a swivel at the waist. Arms can go out in a T-pose, go all the way around. Hinge and swivel at the elbow, and then hinge and swivel at the wrist. So he has all the articulation of a grown-up adult figure, just in kid form. He does have a split in his loincloth, but legs can only go out about that far. Can go up about that far, back about that far. Double jointed pinless knees, really stiff, and I don't want to break it. Boot cut at the top of the boot, and then hinge and swivel and rocker at the ankle. But he has very large feet. So let's see, what can we do on this side? There we go. That's about how far back the legs go. And he holds his club in his hand very well. So this is just wave one of these figures. We are going to get Eric and Sheila and Presto. Here's a look at them right now. They are coming down the pipeline. We will be getting them soon, and I can't wait because I want to round out the rest of my collection. But here, I want to stand these up next to each other really closely so we can bring in some other characters for some size comparison. Here is another Hasbro figure in a Spider-Man from Marvel Legends. Here is Indiana Jones, kind of taller than all of them. And let's bring in another Hasbro. Here's a Luke Skywalker figure. So Hank is pretty much in line as the tallest character with the Black Series. And, you know, they kind of skew a little bit smaller. So that's how they compare in sizes. So let's get these guys into some poses and into some backdrops and see how they pose up. Man, I really love these figures. Like I said, I have been waiting for these figures my whole life. I loved this cartoon when I was a kid. It was one of my favorites, and I always wanted figures. There was a line of Dungeons and Dragons figures that came out when I was a kid, but it was none of the characters from the cartoon. And even though I loved that line, I really did want these. And so when I saw Hasbro announce them, I was absolutely beside myself because I just never thought we would get action figures from this particular cartoon. And they are incredible, and I know that people have had some QC issues with joints breaking. All I say is if you pick this line up straight out of the package, hit them with some boiling water, hit them with a hair dryer or a heat gun, loosen up those joints and move them around very gently. And then once you do that, you shouldn't have any problems because mine have not broken at all. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. I super appreciate it. Thanks for all the likes, the comments, the new subscribers, and all of that. Please continue to do so. I super appreciate it. I appreciate each and every comment and like and subscriber that I get. You guys mean the world to me and this channel. Please check us out over at Instagram.com/Saturday Morning Toy Collector. This has been the Saturday Morning Toy Collector. I'm your host, Mark, and remember, I will see you in the toy aisles.